Thanks for staying on with us. I have with me lawyer Arik Zakri. Arik, thanks again for taking the time to speak with us. There's a lot of issues when it comes to trying to understand this case a little bit better when it comes to the SRC International case. Let's take a step back and see what Malaysians can understand from this case, from the faith that has been restored or not restored in the judiciary system. What can the regular Malaysian, the regular folk make from this case and this verdict?
Alhamdulillah, it shows that the system, although there are some, it might have its flaws, it is functioning. It also means that despite whatever political changes up there, the powers of the public prosecutor shall continue to enforce the law, and the courts shall continue to receive evidence, will continue to hear and decide on cases. And an accused person, even if an accused person has any kind of reputation, will still have the opportunity to be defended by able lawyers. So I think we should view this confidently and positively.
Okay, when you say confidently and positively, who should feel confident and who should feel positive about this whole thing?
In my view, it is all the stakeholders. It is the side of the people. The people win. Whether it is those who see a perspective of law enforcement who should be against the accused person, and as well as those who might be for the accused person, for example, that he still has the opportunity, that all accused persons have the opportunity to put their case forward, that they won't be arrested and thrown into the dungeon and the keys thrown away. That they have the opportunity to present the defense, be defended by their lawyers, and they will have a fair trial through the length and breadth of their case.
I don't know whether you've been following the case closely, but on the steps of the court just now, late evening just now at 7 p.m. or 6:30 p.m., lawyer Tan Sri Shafi was talking about the angle of Company Act and how a shareholder is currently being held liable instead of the board of director. Is this like a clue of the angle that the defense team is going to take when they go up towards the Court of Appeal?
It is the duty of the defense counsel to take whatever he can in the best interest of his client to find any errors in law or in fact that may have been done by the trial judge. So if that is an angle, I'm very sure the learned defense team will fight tooth and nail to use any basis, including the one you mentioned, sir.
All right, and you know, I'm going to repeat this question to you because I've asked Wage at this, but I'm still going to repeat it to you. What is the timeline expected in order for us to reach the conclusion from now onwards until the Court of Appeal?
I will give it fastest 1 year, and I think at top 3 years lah. But that is like, you know, I think if we can factor in the federal court, definitely it's going to go to federal court, because the decision even be reversed by the Court of Appeal. That being said, the reversal has to be at least 2-1.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let's rewind that one. So right now, Datuk Seri Najib has to go to the Court of Appeal, and assuming that the verdict is 2-1, he can go further even to the federal court. Am I correct?
That's right.
And then from the federal court, let's say that he's unhappy with the decision at the Court of Appeal, and he goes to the federal court, then what next?
The federal court is the highest court in the land, and it has to stop there. So they are the final arbiter, and it doesn't go further beyond that. They have the power to intervene and overturn any finding of the Court of Appeal, whether it's in favor or against the accused.
Okay, and does that mean that Datuk Seri Najib, because he will foot the bill, and let's assume that he's going to pay the bill of 1 million ringgit bail due tomorrow, he is a free man until that point in time, i.e. the federal court?
No, it is until the Court of Appeal, because let's say he loses again at the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal, if they allow, they can also increase and top up the bail another time.
Okay. So that's the point where we would see Datuk Seri Najib, assuming that the verdict is not overturned at the Court of Appeal, that's the day that he goes to jail.
I'm not prepared to say that, because if he has enough money, he can pay the top-up amount.
All right.
And he can still be a free man out in the federal court. There are many leading cases where the first time an accused person really faced jail is after the final appeal.
Okay, before we end, what are your general thoughts on this? I mean, you know, this is a landmark case regarding a guilty verdict of one of the highest officers in the country in our history. What does this entail when a lawyer like yourself, a former DPP like yourself even, look at scenarios like this?
Personally and professionally, I feel ecstatic, Ibrahim. And as a lawyer, I'm looking forward to read Datuk Nazlan's grounds of judgment. Because just like in the decision of Augustine Paul in Sodomy 1, it was a lengthy judgment, and there were so many good points that was argued and discussed. And so we're really looking forward to that. We haven't seen a case of such a scale and such a magnitude before. So we're really excited to see the grounds.
You know, that's a good point. Again, some of the questions that have been asked to me is on the judgment itself, the PDF so-called of the judge. What is the normal time for us to wait until the judgment comes out?
I found that judges sometimes they might have it ready immediately, like on the date of reading, pronouncing the judgment, and sometimes they only give broad grounds that they will read out on the day of judgment, and the full grounds, the detailed grounds, come later after the appeal is filed. Because a judge is only obliged to prepare the ground if notice of appeal is filed. If there's no appeal, there's no obligation.
All right, understood. All right, thanks, Arik, for spending time with us. That was Arik Zakri. We're still going to have a few other commentators on the show. That's coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere.